Hi there, it's Donna from Taffy Crafting. Myself and two other members of the team that I'm in, we challenge ourselves every Sunday to kind of mix up some of the projects that we do and try not to stay at the same type of project week after week. So we set ourselves challenges and we take it in turns each week. So last week it was we were casing each other. So I picked a project of Vicky Lou Designs, and then she picked a project from Crafty Karen Designs, and Crafty Karen Designs picked one of my projects, and we cased one another. And that's what you would have seen last Sunday that went out on YouTube. This week, it was Victoria's turn to decide what we were going to challenge ourselves with. And she said, because we all have, this is probably the only stamp set that we all have, she said, right, we have to make something out of this. So I decided to go with a card. I've done quite a lot of cards recently. I need to get back onto doing some more 3D projects, and that's my next video. I'm going to film that straight after this one, is put together a video for a new 3D project. But at the moment I'm going to do this, and this is what I was playing about with. So I took this sentiment here, this image here, stamped it, and then coloured it with this splodge here, and I came up with that. But I've realised that this thank you is too big for this. So what I'm going to do when I make this again is move this up further to the top. And I think it also needs, I think it's too stark. I think it needs a border around that as well. I've also picked this particular project because it's perfect for a beginner. So if you've never made a card ever, you can do this. Absolutely, you can do this. There are different techniques that I'm going to show you. So for instance, with regard to making the corners round on there, using some different products that I've got, but again, you don't need any special equipment for this. It does help if you've got a trimmer, just because it makes it a lot easier for cutting out shapes and things, but you could do this without it. You could do it with a ruler and a pencil and some scissors. I have to say the trimmer absolutely helps. So what I'm going to do differently here is move these flowers up, and I'm also going to put another border around this white just to break it up a little bit. So I need to choose the colour of that, not sure what yet. So this is how I made it. I'll show you now. So I've got my cardstock ready. For this one, I'm going to use Very Vanilla. I just think that will go nicer with the black. There's nothing wrong with the white. I just want to change it up a little bit. So I'm going to use Very Vanilla instead of the white. I'm still going to go with the black background because those of you that watch me regularly know that I like to use black and get a monochrome look. And I've gone a little bit out of the box really. And the background, or the frame that I'm going to use for, just to go around each of these, what will be Very Vanilla rectangles, is Granny Apple Green. I don't know if that's going to be the right thing to do. Let's just give it a go. There are no rules in crafting. I've said that quite a lot recently, just because I sometimes see on forums in which I share my projects, is that people say, oh, have you done this? And there's no rules. You do it the way you want to do it. So you're going to see all of my scoring, my cutting, everything. You're going to see this from start to finish. You pause it if you want to craft along with me. You pause it as I go along. Entirely up to you. Or you can watch it and then have a go. I don't mind. So I've got a piece of A4 Very Vanilla cardstock, and I am going to, so you can do 2 cards with this. I am going to cut that at 5 7/8 on the long side. Now this is UK A4. I know that I've got a few US viewers, subscribers, and their A4 size is slightly different. So I've just sliced that in half. I don't know the size of US A4. So now along the long side, which measures 8 1/4, I'm going to score that at 4 1/8. And the absolutely most efficient way of doing your trimming and your scoring is with the Stampin' Up trimmer, and they've just recently updated this and it's so much better. So there's my card base, standard card base. Just fold that there, and I'm going to, this is in landscape. I do a lot of my cards portrait, but we're going to do this landscape. So I need some basic black. And I just want a piece of this that measures 4 inches by 5 3/4 of an inch. And again, if you're using other size A4, you will need to adapt that. So what I've done, my card base measures 4 1/8 by 5 7/8, and I've just taken 1/8 of an inch off those measurements, and that's why that measures 4 inches by 5 3/4. But you adapt it however you want if you've got a different size card. So we're going to put that on there, and I'm going to use Tombow to put that on. When I watch other crafters' video, a lot of them use snail or tear and tape, but I just need that little bit of wiggle room to be able to get this on accurately. With snail and with tear and tape, you've got one chance and one chance only. So there we are. That's our base. And I'm definitely preferring the Very Vanilla with the black. So these panels here, I get my ruler out. These panels here, I think measured 3 1/2 by 1 5/8. No, 3 3/4 by 1 5/8. And I'm going to keep those dimensions. Yeah, sorry. Kind of losing the ability to speak. So that means if they are 1 5/8 by 3 3/4, I want these to be 1 3/4 in width by 3 7/8. Didn't think I'd have a maths lesson so early in the day. So 1 3/4 by 3 7/8. I've got 2 of those there, and then we'll just do another one. I'll have a blog post for this. All of the measurements will be there. So if you don't want to worry about writing them down and you're just happy to watch, then you do that. The blog post, the link for that will be in the description bar. Now I'm just checking that these will fit in here. And yes, they do. Thank goodness. And they fit quite nicely in there. My goodness, that granny apple green is bright, isn't it? I love it. So they're going to sit on there like that. So now I need 3 pieces of the Very Vanilla. And if you get the long side, sorry, on the short side, if you measure that 1 5/8, you should be able to get then 2 lengths of this out of that one piece of card. So that is 1 5/8 by 3 3/4. Oh, is that going to be enough? Yes. So 1 5/8 by 3 3/4, and then I've got a bit of Whisper White, not Whisper White, Very Vanilla left for my sentiment. So if we go back to this, what these are going to do is then sit in there. Oops. I love a bit of layering. I just think it gives dimension to a card. That looks quite flat. So, and I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. Well, I did like it. There's nothing wrong with it. I just felt it needed a little bit more. So we're going to get that. I'm loving the green. I'm absolutely loving the green. And we could actually make our flowers green. So with these, I've made these different colours. But I don't have Granny Apple Green ink. So I think I'm still going to use different colours. I change my mind several times when I'm crafting. I never finish up with what I originally thought I was going to do. So there are my 3 very vanilla pieces of card, and I need my Memento ink. And I've got, what size block is this? A D block. I use a D block for just about everything. And I'm going to use this image here. I'm going to put that on my block there, and then using Memento ink, just load up that stamp. So these are photopolymer stamps, which are usually my favourite. I do love a photopolymer stamp. Now remember I said at the beginning of this video that I need these flowers to be higher up because I'm going to be putting a sentiment, and the sentiment was just covering too much of the flower. So we're going to put these higher up. So I'm just going to put them towards the top of that cardstock. Press that down firmly. And if you've never stamped before, give it a go. I always used to find it a really scary thing to do, and it just isn't. It is not scary. Oh, making a bit of a racket with that. So try and get these as the same as possible as your other bit of card. So the same, what am I trying to say? In the same place as the other card. That still doesn't make sense. I've been off work for a week and it's like my brain has stopped working. So there we have our 3 images like that, and they're just quite nice on their own, really. That's what I like about this particular image. It's really nice. It's really sharp and clear. So if you wanted to, you could just leave that like that if you really wanted to, and have that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you could take it up to the next level. And I've taken what can only be described as a splodge, this one here. I've loaded that up onto my block. There's my splodge. So that goes on the base of the flower and that goes round it. So if you look here, this one, there's the base of the flower, and we're going to stamp that like that. And I'm using the same 3 colours just because I love them. So I'm going to start off with Mango Melody. This one came quite late into my collection of colours, and I saw Victoria from Vicky Lou Designs using it, and it's like, what is that colour? It was like a nice tangerine colour, and she went, oh, that's Mango Melody, and I didn't have it, and that was it. Sold. Had to buy it. So I'm just going to, this is the other great thing if you're a beginner stamper, there's no colouring within the edges or anything. It's just a splodge. So that's the Mango Melody. Then we've got Rococo Rose, which is one of our new in colours. I say new, it was new at the beginning of June. Let's just wipe over my stamp. And then I've got Highland Heather. I love this colour. I love purple. I'm not a lilac fan, but I quite like this. So load up the block. So this is what's great about this. There's no precise stamping with this one. It's just 3 splodges per plant. That was actually Highland Heather. There's the Rococo Rose. So there are our 3 flowers, and then you just decide what order you want to put them in. I'm putting them in that way because I want the tangerine in the middle, just because it's, I don't know, it's just what I thought I'd do. So let's get our granny apple greens back. And we are going to mount those on each of those green pieces of cardstock. Like that. So where's my Tombow gone? There it is. So that liquid glue just gives you a little bit of time just to make sure that you've got that a nice even border all the way around your card. Crafting is such a lovely therapeutic thing to do. If I've had a really busy day, it's been a little bit full on, I love to just shut myself off in my craft room or in my craft space and just craft. It's wonderful for our mental health just to stop and create. The only downside to it is clearing up afterwards, because I tend to be a messy crafter, and so I craft when I come home at night, and then I'm a bit naughty and I don't clear up when I finish crafting. I must get into the habit of doing that. So let's now put these on here like that. And again, with your glue, you're then going to mount those on there. Those measurements are pretty much perfect. I'm really pleased with those. I was taking a little bit of a gamble with those when I started this video. So I'm going to do my corners first, making sure that those borders are even. And then once this one's stuck down, we just need to think about our sentiment. There we are. Happy with that. I'm not going to muck about any more with that. So the next thing I want to do is put a sentiment here. Now the sentiments that are on here are lovely. This one's lovely. I'm so lucky to have a friend. I'm lucky to have a friend like you. We've got thank you, love what you do, and it's a beautiful day. I'm going to be using the thank you sentiment, which I'll put on my block. And I'm going to really layer this up because I've created some space on here now. I'm going to put a few layers on here. So I'm going to start off with what am I going to start off with? I'm going to start off with the black actually. And the black is going to measure 2 1/4 inches. Let's do that way. 2 1/4 inches. By 1 1/4. Our granny apple green is going to measure 2 1/8 by 1 1/8. You can probably tell that I'm just reducing these measurements by 1/8 of an inch each time. There's something a little bit different I'm going to do with these. And so this one is 1 inch by 2 inches. And it's this very vanilla piece that I'm going to stamp my sentiment on. So I've got the thank you sentiment and my memento ink. Line it up. There we are. Now, just while that's drying off, I'm just going to put that to one side. With these, I'm going to round the corners. Now, I've got the Detail Trio Punch, which does, as well as rounding corners, it's also got a little, I'll show you what that looks like. Does that, you see that? Which I think is really pretty. And then we've also got this one, which puts an oval in the corner. I can get that in there. So it puts an oval in there. And then the other thing that it does, it's got a corner rounder on there as well. Which, if I can get it in there properly, there we go, will round the corner for us. So we're going to do that with all 3 pieces of our cardstock. And I will do that as quickly as I can. Now, just while I'm doing this, I'm going to tell you about some other projects that I've got coming up. I've got a 3D box project where I'm going to show you how to calculate the measurements of your box based on what you're going to put in the box. So that's the second one of those that I'll be doing. I've already put one out there, but I've got another one for you. Next week's challenge is punch art. Is that next week's challenge? Yeah, I think it's punch art, which I never knew what punch art was until I came across that recently, and I went onto Pinterest and searched it, and I'm looking forward to doing that. So we've got some punch art, other things that we've got coming up as well. Gosh, I've forgotten. Oh, a 6x6 project challenge. So making cards out of one piece of 6x6 DSP. So lots of things coming up, and they're really good. They challenge you. So that's what we're going to have there. So all I'm going to do with this one is mount that, but this one is going to go on with mini dimensionals. So I'm just going to put the green onto the black and just line that up. No taffy crafting project will be complete without some mini dimensionals. So I'm just going to put just 2, don't need to waste them. If I can get the backs off. And then, now I can't put my head over this, otherwise it'll end up in the camera. There we are, got it on there. So there's our layered sentiment for that, which is going to sit on there like that. And that's just going to have, I'm going to really push the boat out and put 4 dimensionals on there. Crafty Karen Designs will not believe this, that I'm putting 4 on there. we're just going to put that just at the bottom because I still want to see the layers on the bottom as well. We're not losing half of that flower because of this. And I just need to move this over a little bit. And it's going down. There we go. So a layered card using Love What You Do with very vanilla, basic black and granny apple green cardstock, and with some beautiful flowers with stunning colours, which is the thing that Stampin' Up does. Their colours are amazing. I hope you like it. If you're a beginner crafter, give it a go, and it just shows you just how easy it is to put together some card, some ink, and to create a lovely project. I'll be back again soon. I'll see you then. Bye bye.